Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Road to CWS. My name is Suzie Yacavino with HireTalent. I wanted to say thanks again for joining us on another amazing LinkedIn Live as we gear up for the CWS Summit next week. This conversation's all about getting a preview of what matters most heading into the event next week. We'll talk with our panelists about who they are, the roles they play, connects to their work, and what they're hoping to learn and bring back to their teams after the fun 2-day event next week. So let's start off with quick introductions. Anastasia, if you want to begin, tell us who you are and what you do in a nutshell.
Sure. My name is Anastasia Gay, and I work for Phillips 66. I have been here for 14 years in a variety of different roles within the HR talent acquisition space. And now I am currently leading our I'm the program sponsor for our contingent labor program.
Amazing. I want to say, and this is a pretty new transition. So congratulations. How's it been?
Good. I share with Doug quite often that there's a lot of same things from talent acquisition to contingent labor. We just call it different things.
Absolutely. Well, and it's a good time to be going to CWS, right? You've had some time to get settled into the new role, an understanding of what are maybe some exciting things that you want to hear other buyers talk on. Some of these panel discussions are pretty amazing when it comes to best practices internally. So I'm sure this is going to be really, really great for you to be able to go into, learn a lot, and then bring back and implement internally with the team. So it's kind of like perfect timing in a sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And Doug, if you want to introduce yourself and sort of a little bit about your background as well, that'd be great.
Sure. Thanks, Suzie. Doug Cloutier, VP Client Solutions for Guidant Global. Been here about 3.5 years, in the space for a few more years than that. So really my role is I represent a portfolio of customers of Guidant. So really looking to make sure that we are bringing the best of our services to all of our customers, variety of solutions, opportunities for growth, that type of thing. And just really ensuring that the customer has a good experience with us.
Amazing. I will say the hype around this particular LinkedIn Live has been amazing. I'm seeing all the excitement around it. So I'm super excited to be with you both today. So thanks again for making time for this.
It's all because Anastasia's new in our world.
Yeah. That's all I definitely noticed that. So is this your first CWS? You mentioned, what's sort of the game plan? Do you have an agenda? Are you kind of winging it when you get there? I find that buyers have a different strategy. Some want to have a set schedule. Some are just I'm kind of going with the flow. It being my first time, I don't know what to expect. So what's your outlook on this next week?
Kind of a little bit of both of that. I like to have a tentative schedule when I go in, knowing some key topics that I want to listen in on, but certainly flexible. I think the partnership piece is so critical. It's been critical for me in every role I've been in, just knowing key stakeholders within, outside of the company, and just getting their perspectives. And so, I might meet someone there. I did go to another conference earlier in the year, and so maybe I'll run into some of those individuals I met and might change my plan a bit, but definitely have some key areas I'd like to learn about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always find it's always good to have a plan, because sometimes when you show up and you don't, you kind of feel lost because there's just so much going on. But then when the schedule is strict, things always change. It just always happens to be like that. So I think that's definitely a good strategy going into it for sure. So how does CWS fit into your role?
Everything we just talked about. So I feel like, everything that I've been learning, key things that I need to know to be successful in my role. I feel like those are going to be some of the key topics that we're talking about here. And then also part of my role is to make sure that we are keeping up with industry trends and just challenging the way we've done things. Like I mentioned, I'm new to this space, but I don't want to pick it up and just continue on with how we've always done it, right? I want to make sure that we're moving forward and getting some of those ideas from other people that have done it before us, and just making sure that we're continuing to innovate and progress our program forward in the best ways.
Amazing. Would you say like top 3 things that you're really looking to get out of CWS? Like any topics or roundtable discussions that you've noticed that you're really excited about?
Some of the topics, I think maybe technology would be one for me, is just understanding how people are leveraging that, and what technology they're using, and maybe different ways that they're using it now than they might have in the past. I know it's just constantly evolving, so I want to make sure that we're on top of that. And I'd be interested to know not just what you hear from those that are selling to you, but those that are actually applying it today. So interested in that, any type of innovative solutions. Again, I think people learn from mistakes, and so people sharing what's worked for them and what hasn't worked for them would be helpful for me. And then compliance, I am on the HR side, so that is definitely something I've always been interested in and bring to the table, is ensuring compliance and mitigating risk. And so that's another topic that I'd really like to focus in on too.
Amazing. Doug, how about you? Are there some things that you're, some panel discussions that you're looking forward to sitting in on?
Yeah, so I mean, I think to Anastasia's point, right? We're in an interesting place with P66, with new stakeholders and a lot of initiatives to kind of revive the program and take it in a little bit of a different direction than where we've been. And so I would say that's a consistent theme across my portfolio. So not just with P66, but everybody is very much in a, what's out there, how's technology being leveraged, what other solutions aren't we using that we could be using, those types of things. I think that as we continue down this path in the contingent labor space, and I've had this conversation with a number of people, that there continues to be this, this strive towards a new model, right? So a new model beyond sort of the traditional vendor neutral, very firewalled sort of scenario. So I think from my perspective, understanding how other customers are leveraging their supply base in maybe a different way than what we've looked at historically as an MSP in particular. What solutions are top of mind? Certainly, statement of work is something that is everyone's talking about regularly. Direct sourcing, certainly leveraging AI for both of those. So those are the kind of things that I'm going to try and focus on, either in the sessions or just throughout conversation through the couple of days there. Yeah,
absolutely. It's always great to have these conferences a few times a year, because it is hard to understand how everyone is trying to change with the times, because this industry is always forever changing dependent upon what's going on in our world. So there's been so much change these last 2 years. So it's exciting times to kind of see, hey, AI was a huge conversation last year. These are the things that we have done since then. This is what we've seen work and what we've seen have not worked. And here's some of the new things that we're looking into to implement. So I think CWS does a really great job at the education piece as well as the networking to really help all of us understand what our industry is going to look like in the near future. So super exciting. Also, always this like touchy subject about, suppliers outreaching to buyers and what that looks like. I definitely feel like in the last month and a half, there's been a lot of conversation on the do's and don'ts. So how has it been sort of being your first time going to CWS, the outreach on your end? Has it been just overboard? And also just even, any advice for suppliers on, what works for you and what you would recommend them to do or not to do would be great.
Okay. Yes, it has been overwhelming in a nutshell. There's just, work is very busy anyway, and so being flooded with emails can really be a challenge. I have actually just kind of shifted a lot of them over. I see CWS and it goes into a folder because I just don't have time to look at all of them. I do at the end of the day, or, when I have time to circle back to that, but I can't manage that in the flow of my day. So it's very overwhelming when it's multiple emails. So I'd say a don't is following up multiple times repetitively. Like, we will get to it. I'll get to it when I have a moment. I would say a do is also recognizing I am new to contingent labor, and so I'm not familiar with your company or what type of service you provide. So I think very direct emails that say, this is what we do, here's how we could partner, rather than the emails that say, hey, do you have 5 minutes for me to tell you about my company? I don't even know if that company is something that we would use, if it's necessary for us. And so just high level, quick bullets on here's what we can do for you. I would say that would definitely be a plus to include in those emails. But the don't is, I would say, kind of hitting from all directions, multiple emails, and I'm getting the LinkedIn from the same people wanting to have a conversation. So it's a lot, but looking forward to meeting everyone, but it's just a lot, especially leading up to being out of the office for 3 days, 4 days, frankly. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys feel the same way, if you guys are hit up differently than I am, but
I would say, well, first of all, I just assumed you gave everybody my cell phone number. Maybe not, I guess not. So, I think it's a little bit different for the MSPs, right? Like, we have lots of existing relationships with suppliers. And so I don't think we get quite the inundation of contact as the customer buyers, right? But I think, to Anastasia's point, there's a professional way to connect and there's a not so professional way to connect. And unfortunately, I think our industry at times has leaned towards the not professional, which gives everybody a bad name, quite honestly. And I'm going to shout out Matt Jordan here for a minute, but Matt's a good friend, and he had a great post a couple of weeks ago. And I thought that was very well said as far as, how to act in these kind of scenarios. So, but yeah, I think that, the big thing for me, and I will tell anybody that will listen, what's your differentiator, right? Like, that's the biggest thing for me. And so, to Anastasia's point, if you're reaching out to someone that works for an oil and gas company, your number one thing should be talking about if you have other oil and gas customers and what you do for them, right? Because ultimately that's going to be more important for Anastasia to listen than somebody that's just randomly saying, hey, can I get 5 minutes? So kind of what, target your message. What's your differentiator? How are you making yourselves different than all the other suppliers that are going to be there? And then recognize that it's a marathon and not a sprint, and you're not going to get a $100 million contract signed because you sent a LinkedIn message, right? Like, this is a relationship business. It's a people business, and it takes time. And so, you don't want your first impression to be a negative one, because the likelihood is you're not going to get a second chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely doing your homework first, right? The mentality of really understand who you're actually trying to get in front of. So do your due diligence, take your time with it, really understand who you're going to, connect with or want to get in front of, instead of it being so generic. So yes, I think that's a great point. And we do love Matt Jordan. He's such great people. That post was amazing because he hit on the previous, like the, preview before, right? Like, this is what you shouldn't do as a supplier. He has the experience. He's a supplier, right? But then when you show up, absolutely, like, the things that he touched on when you were there was amazing. Definitely learn your space. Don't be rude. My biggest thing is don't force conversation. People connect with people, organically. You can tell when it's forced, and it's very uncomfortable when it's forced. So don't do that, for sure. So great points. I think a lot of times it's good to hear from you guys of what, especially new suppliers in the industry should and shouldn't be doing, because just out of respect for y'all's time. So definitely appreciate that. So I guess after the conference is over, follow-ups, how do you guys recommend everyone, follow up with you guys? Because I know that's going to be another, outreach sort of overbearingness that happens afterwards is, hey, I know you were there. Let's connect again on a 5-minute call. So how do you prefer people reach out to you as well? Same sort of approach? Is it send marketing material?
I can go first. Yeah, I think same sort of approach, right?
Yeah.
offer up the opportunity to circle back and touch base, maybe offer up some times, but also recognize that, to your point, myself, Anastasia, anybody else that's there is going to get a lot of those requests, and they're not going to be able to schedule 100 calls 2 weeks after, right? So I think if we have a chance to meet at the conference, referencing what we talked about or some connection that was made, because otherwise I'm not always great with remembering names, of people I meet and then get an email from, right? So there's got to be some sort of, we talked about this and we were standing here and this was the topic or whatever. So that would be my recommendation, is tie it back to whatever we talked about during the event.
Amazing.
Yeah, I would say relationships go a long way with me, and meeting someone and just immediately talking about business. I like to have a little bit of personal relationship, like, who are you? Where do, I think that's how I started the conversation with Doug too. When we first met each other months back, I generally lead with who I am first. And so kind of establishing that trust first is important to me. And so I'd love to get to know people. I don't need to know your whole family business, but I'd like to just say hello and how's the conference going, normal conversation, rather than we just jump into business and then we can talk business later. But I did have a few of those conversations at a conference earlier this year, and those are the people I remember that stuck out to me.
I love that. Yeah. No, that's a great approach. I was on a live earlier today, and we talked a little bit about that. I always say especially business is no different than just even a partnership with your spouse or your kids, right? Like getting to know someone, really truly building trust with them is so important. And sometimes that gets lost and just the mindset of business, because when you do business with someone, you want to be able to trust that that you can go to them with anything, any, issues that you're having, any needs that you're looking for. And you can trust that they are going to be transparent with you and honest with how they can or cannot help you. And that does start with getting to know people on a personal level. So I love that. I think that probably one of my favorite parts of this is the relationship building, because, and I also mentioned this yesterday, was that I've met some of the best people out of this industry. And I don't feel that would have ever happened had I not understood who they were as a person. So I love that. Any sort of, final thoughts or words of advice for CWS 2025 for the people that are watching? I know this was a little short, but sometimes it's better, short but sweet, right? It's a saying for a reason.
So I would say I'm a very curious person by nature, and I ask a lot of questions. Doug can vouch for that. But I feel like where I've learned so much and been challenged in the best ways in my career are when people bring new ideas and challenge me and ask a lot of questions. I just think it generates innovation and new ideas. So although I am a newbie, I will probably ask some questions, but also have some insight as well, just because, like I mentioned, talent acquisition is so similar in a lot of the ways we work with contingent labor. And so I'd say welcome the newbies also into that space. And I think we'll all learn a lot. So I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of new faces.
Amazing. Absolutely. And Doug, anything from you?
Yeah, I'll just say I've been doing this for 30 years, so I have lots of relationships, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and reconnecting and understanding kind of what everybody's feelings are on not only this market, but current market, but as we go into 2026 and as we start, currently we're in forecasting and budgeting mode. So always curious to kind of hear what everybody's thoughts are in 2026 and go from there. But yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody in Dallas.
Absolutely. Me as well. Thanks again, you guys. It was so great to meet you, Anastasia. Doug, as always, so great to see you again. I'm excited meeting you both in person next week. Safe travels. It's going to be a great week next week. So rest up, take some downtime this weekend, because even though it's 2 days, there are long, fun days of connecting with a lot of people. So we really appreciate you guys again. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thanks,
Thank
Suzie.
you, Suzie.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.